What's up, sports, or more specifically, NFL fans? So today we're going to talk about the games coming up for week 7, but I'm going to start off, for week 6, but I'm going to start off talking a little bit about the games that just happened in week 5. So we'll talk about the past and we'll dig into the future. So follow along. All right, so let me get in this screen right here so we can look at the games that just happened on week 5. Okay, so now we're set up. We're going to look at week 5 and hadn't talked about it yet. First game of the week, Kirk O'Chains. Boy, Kirk Cousins went off. I mentioned this in the preview for the games for the past week because I did the preview late last week. That was a great game. Atlanta 36-30 against Tampa. Great divisional game, big game. Both teams 3-2. Go to Sunday games early in the morning. Actually, when I did that video, the Jets and the Vikings were still playing. Vikings won that game 23-17. Vikings are at 5-0. Sam Darnold's been great. He wasn't great in that game. Good enough to get the job done. Aaron Rodgers, not good enough to get it done. 3 interceptions, 244 yards. And Robert Saleh, fired. You're fired. Man, he had a terrible overall record. So it's hard to really feel that, too bad for him because of his overall record. But I don't think he should have been fired in those circumstances. The defense has been playing really well. Aaron Rodgers, you are the issue, my friend. And in reality, Aaron Rodgers is what got Robert Saleh fired. Whether we want to believe that or not, he talked to the owner the day before. They said they talked nothing about Robert Saleh. No one's buying that. So Aaron Rodgers, you got him fired. So you got an interim coach in there, Aaron. You got to turn it around. You got to play better, point blank, period. And let's move on to the next game. Excuse me for a second. I have something on the screen and it doesn't want to go away. Here we go. Carolina against the Chicago Bears. Bears easy, 36-10. Carolina got a little joke the first week or two with Andy Dalton in there, but they're back to being the Carolina Panthers. Caleb Williams is looking better and better. 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's looking legit. 5 catches, 105 yards for DJ Moore versus his old team. He definitely wanted that payback party. He's had a couple big games since he's left Carolina. He loves playing his old team, obviously. Bears 3-2. I said they'd have a nice season and make the playoffs, and they're headed in that direction while Carolina continues to be Carolina, and they're headed towards the number 1 pick and drafting a quarterback. Final and overtime, the game of the day. Lamar Jackson making incredible plays and leading Baltimore to a 41-38 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals 1-4. They need to make a run, man. When you got a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you always can have a run in you. The defense is going to have to play better, though. That's the key. I don't care how good Joe Burrow is. If the defense in Cincinnati doesn't play better, they're not gonna be good, man. Their defense has to play better. But 10-point comeback in the fourth quarter, I should say, for Lamar Jackson and those guys. They put up 17 points in that fourth quarter. And then King Henry with the big run in overtime to set up the game-winning chip shot field goal for Justin Tucker. Big win, big game. They're 3-2, 3 in a row for the Ravens, and for the Bengals 1-4. They need to fix that in a hurry. The next several games is all winnable. So that's one right way to look at it. If you're a fan of the Bengals, they need to pick it up. They need to win the next 3-4 games. Miami Dolphins win an ugly game against the New England Patriots 15-10. Mike McDaniel, you finally did the right thing in the second half because you weren't doing the right thing in the first half. Run the damn ball. And Tyler Huntley still threw it 31 times, which is honestly probably more than I want to see him throw the ball. But they ran it 41 times, which is what they need to be doing right now without Tua. Run the ball, run the rock. Concussion for Devon Achane. You hate to see that as a Dolphins fan, but you know what, though? I like the rookie Jalen Wright. He looked good. He ran with power. Raheem Mostert played for the first time since the first game of the season. He's been injured, but he's back, and he ran with power. Physicality. I need to see more physicality. Run the rock. Tote it. And not a pretty game by any means, but a win's a win. 2-3. If you could somehow go on the road and eke out a win next week after the bye against the Indianapolis team, which is beatable, if you can do that and go 3-3 with Tua coming back, Miami can salvage their season. They go 2-4. It's going to be a hard mountain to climb. 1-5. If they would have lost this game and next week, the season would have been already over, dead and buried. So there's a little life there. I'm not counting it as a lot, but a little life. Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, still impressive, still commanding things. 238 on the ground, 238 in the air, 82 on the ground, a touchdown in the air, 4 catches, 112 yards for Scary Terry, and they blow out Deshaun Watson, who looks awful. Looks like the worst starting quarterback in the league, and he's getting paid heavy money. He's making long money for playing very, very bad football. 34-13 Commanders, and Deshaun Watson's days may be numbered. Maybe time to go to that crab-eating guy on the bench, the former Heisman winner, the guy that likes to eat W's, if you know what I mean. The W eater, Jameis Winston. Might be time to eat some W's in Cleveland. Jacksonville got their first win of the season. Trevor Lawrence looked good, 371 yards and a couple touchdowns. They got some good receivers over there. They distribute the ball well, 101 yards for Bigsby. The rookie out of LSU, Brian Thomas Jr., looks very good. And they got the victory 37-34 in a shootout against Joe Flacco and the Colts. Joe Flacco's played well, man. He's one of those guys, man. That's a guy Miami probably should have looked to bring in his tools back up because he can step in and still do it. And I don't know if I would be tempted to keep him in there even after your quarterback comes back. But when you got a young guy in there and Flacco's almost 40, it's hard to leave Flacco in there when the young guy is healthy, especially when you're trying to see if Anthony Richardson is the future or not. I right now say if you want to win, it's hard to go against Flacco. Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans, another very good game. Buffalo, horrible clock management at the end of the game. Houston comes out a 3-point winner, a field goal that they probably shouldn't have even gotten off because Buffalo should have ran the clock out, but they did what they did. They threw the ball 3 times. Josh Allen was not having a good game. He was awful. So in a situation where it's not Josh Allen's day, you got to look at it if you're Buffalo and say, hey, you know what? Our guy is not his day. You know what? We're going to play it conservative and go to overtime. That's not what they did. And instead, they took the L, put the L on the forehead of the Bills Mafia. 4-1 is the Texans, 2 straight losses, 3-2 for the Bills. The Broncos, again, rolling under Big Sean Payton, 34-18 against the Raiders. They lost 8 in a row to the Raiders. Bo Nix, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, but Denver's defense, again, the story, had a long pick 6 from Patrick Surtain. He had 2 interceptions in the game. And the Broncos, they look good right now, 3 in a row, 3-2. Raiders, 2-3. They benched Gardner Minshew, and they're starting Aiden O'Connell this week. Arizona 24-23 against the 49ers. Again, the 49ers look like they had, but Arizona blocked the kick. And when the 49ers blocked the kick, ran it back for a touchdown. Looked like they were in command of the game, but Kyler Murray saved the day, 11 points in the fourth quarter to pull out a 1-point victory in Santa Clara against the 49ers. Both teams 2-3. Very disappointing for the 49ers. Ayuk had a hell of a game, his best game of the year by far, as he had 147 yards receiving. And then you had Mason, who's continuing to run the ball well in place of the injured CMC. He had almost 100 yards, but not enough. Green Bay 24-19 on the road against the Rams, despite the fact that Jordan Love had a terrible interception, still pulled it out against the injury-riddled Rams. And a late charge by the Rams, they were able to survive it. Seattle not able to survive the Giants. Seattle started off good, up 7-0, and then the Giants, man, give them some credit. They're 2-3 on the season. They're playing good defensively. They went on a road across the country, hostile environment, got the dub. Daniel Jones is playing pretty well, man. Everybody wanted to write Daniel Jones off. We say that we say Geno Smith, they want to write him off, but he didn't write back. I tell you, everybody's wanting to write off Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones did not write back. That's the problem. He didn't write back. 29-20. Daniel Jones and the Giants. Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, a game that ended after midnight because this game had a weather delay, a lightning delay, if you will, and the weather was terrible there, frightful. The Cowboys come back and pull out a 20-17 win. Dak didn't play his best game, but at the end of the day, he made the big throws at the end. He had 352 yards passing and a game-winning touchdown at the very end for the Cowboys to pull it off 20-17 in Pittsburgh. Both teams 3-2. Monday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs 26, the New Orleans Saints 13. Kansas City, great job in that game. They looked good. Best I've seen them look all year. Derek Carr was very mediocre. He's a mediocre quarterback, and then he got injured in that game, and now the Saints got to start Spencer Rattler this upcoming week. But the Chiefs, they look sharp in a 20-13 win. Mahomes did throw an interception and no touchdowns, but they look sharp. He made plays. He looked good. Kareem Hunt had 102 yards rushing. Juju Smith-Schuster, who was released from the New England Patriots, had 130 yards receiving, and Travis Kelce was showing off for Tay-Tay, as he had a nice game, of course, with Tay-Tay in attendance. He had to show off. All right, so now let's go to the games coming up for Week 6. This is what's coming up for you tonight. The San Francisco 49ers against division rival Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. In Lumen Field. Seahawks are 3.5-point favorite. I'm sorry, 49ers are a 3.5-point favorite on the road. The way the 49ers have played, I'd probably take Seattle with them being on the right side of the hook. I would say a 3.5-point underdog, because I can see that game being a field goal type game. Seattle's at home. Both teams are coming off of a loss. Big game for the 49ers. If you lose this game, you're 2 games behind Seattle, and you lose a head-to-head in the first matchup with them. So I think the 49ers may win this game by a field goal. I'm betting it. I take Seattle all day here. They're at home, and they're on the right side of that hook, that 3 points in the hook. All right, so you go to Sunday, and you go to London, to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Chicago Bears, a 2.5-point favorite at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty much a home game for Jacksonville because they play every year in London, so twice a year sometimes. Last year they played twice, I believe. So they got the Chicago Bears here. The Bears are a 2.5-point favorite here. Bears have played well lately. Caleb Williams looks better. Trevor Lawrence played well last week. He's not been great a lot of the year. The rookie Brian Thomas Jr. from the Bayou Bengals has looked good from Walker High School, by the way, in Walker, Louisiana. I don't really have a great feel for this game. The Bears are 2.5-point favorite. Like I said, I don't have a great feel for this game. Wow, that's tough. I would probably just take Chicago because they've just been playing better than Jacksonville all year, but I don't have a great feel for it. I don't pick the Bears here with a lot of confidence or conviction, but I would lean Chicago. Green Bay Packers, 5.5-point favorite over the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray looks good at times. They've been a little inconsistent, though. They're only 2-3. The Packers are 3-2. Packers 5.5 points at home. The Packers are a better football team. I'll just take the Packers straight up and with the spread. The Indianapolis Colts visiting the Tennessee Titans. Titans are 2.5-point favorite at home. The Titans suck. Will Levis sucks. The Indianapolis Colts think they're better with Joe Flacco and then Anthony Richardson, like I said earlier. 2.5-point favorite Tennessee. I'd take Indianapolis in that game, straight up and with the points. The Houston Texans, 6.5-point favorite on the road against the New England Patriots. I've not been all that impressive with Houston. Their best win was last week against Buffalo when Josh Allen had a terrible performance and they had to win on a last-second field goal by Ka'imi Fairbairn. 6.5 points. The Patriots are atrocious. I would take the 6.5 points, and I would give the 6.5 points and take Houston. I think they win that game by 10 points or so. Probably not an overly impressive performance game, but good enough to win by double digits because they're just better. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Saints. The Bucs are a 3.5-point favorite in the Caesar Superdome over the Saints. Spencer Rattler, I don't know what to expect. I thought they were going to go to Jake Haener, but they go to Spencer Rattler. I think either way, there's always a chance that you bring a guy in. There's not much film on him other than preseason. He comes out, catches Tampa off guard with the coaching staff, and the offense rolls, and the Saints pull off a big win. There's always that chance, but just sheerly going off of who's the best team, what to expect, you got to take Baker Mayfield on the road, even on the wrong side of the hook, the 3.5. I would still take Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay because they're just better than the Spencer Rattler-led team. But like I said, there's always that surprise shot that the Who Dat Nation can come out. They have a good defense. Spencer Rattler can make some surprise plays, and the Saints pull it off. There's always that chance. But I would say the safe bet, I would go Tampa Bay to cover and win. The Cleveland Browns, 10-point underdog against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not impressed with the Eagles this year. I'm not impressed with Jalen Hurts. He's been a turnover machine for the second half basically of last season all the way up through this season. He leads the league in turnovers during that span. They're coming off of a bye week. Deshaun Watson's been absolute pure and utter hot garbage. I would lean towards taking Cleveland on the spread. 10 points is a lot. Chubb should be back. Nick Chubb running the rock. They have to play this a little more conservative. I like Philadelphia to win because they're just a better team, but I would probably lean Cleveland on the spread and think that Philadelphia is going to win by like 7 or 8. I mean, it could be a 10-point game and be a push, but I don't like the fact that it's at 10. I'd much rather it be like 10 and a hook. I'd feel a little more confident going with Cleveland because I think it could be a 10-point game. The Washington Commanders, this should be the game of the day. They're 4-1 going into Baltimore and the battle of the DMV, taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who are 6.5-point favorite at 3-2. Lamar Jackson versus a guy that's sort of similar to him. And so I look at this game, very interesting game. Jaden Daniels draws a lot of comparisons to Lamar Jackson. 6.5 points here. I'd probably swallow the points. Well, I wouldn't swallow it. I'd probably give the points. I'd go with the Commanders, just the way Jaden Daniels has looked here. And probably like Baltimore to win this game at home. And I like where the hook is if I'm going with the Commanders because it's 6.5. I can see this game being a 6-point game. Could be the wrong side of the hook, of course, if it's a 7-point game, but depends on how you look at it. I would take the Commanders bet in this game, but I would go straight up and say that I think the Baltimore Ravens will win. We go to the late window, the Denver Broncos at home, a 3-point underdog to Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, and the San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. Denver's looked good the last few weeks, 3 in a row. Defense has looked excellent. Justin Herbert's had his injury issues. He's coming off a bye, so hopefully for the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh, they get Justin Herbert up to speed, and hopefully he's back to being a normal Justin Herbert. They're going to try to pound the rock with J.K. Dobbins. We know Harbaugh likes to run it. 3-point underdog. Denver's actually had success at home over the years recently against the Chargers. Of course, this is a Jim Harbaugh Charger, so it's a different Chargers. I would take Denver at home as a 3-point underdog. I think this will be a very close game, but I would take Denver. The Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road, a 3-point favorite over the Raiders, the train wreck that is the Raiders. I would like Gardner Minshew starting over Aiden O'Connor. but they're going with Aiden O'Connor. I don't think Minshew is necessarily the problem, and I don't think Aiden O'Connor is the problem or the answer. I think Pittsburgh wins this game. They're a 3-point favorite. I don't like that spread. I'd much rather it be like 2.5 because I think Pittsburgh can win this game by 3-7. I would do Pittsburgh. If I'm betting the spread, I'm taking Pittsburgh again. I just think they're better. This could be a game of the day candidate. Also, the Detroit Lions visiting the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium, a.k.a. Jerry World. Detroit 3-1, Cowboys 3-2. Lions coming off a bye. They're a 3-point favorite on the road. Cowboys have not been really impressive this year. The Lions have just been solid, choo-chooing along. 3 points again. I hate 3-point spreads. This is the third straight 3-point spread we've done here. I don't like it. Man, this is a hard one to pick. This is a really hard one to pick. Really hard. But since I'm going to pick it regardless, even though it's really hard to pick, I'll take Detroit to win the game. I think it could be a push, 3 points. I would lean Cowboys on the spread because I think it's going to be really close. But, man, I don't want to pick that game. I really don't want to. The Atlanta Falcons coming in, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins balled out last week. 509, 3 touchdowns. Falcons 3-2 on the season. Carolina 1-4. Falcons 6-point favorite. I would definitely say it's a safe bet. Take the Falcons. I think Kirk goes off again. He's got great receivers. They're just a better team. They got they're just better. 6 points. Take the Falcons. Cincinnati Bengals in a must-win situation on Sunday Night Football, visiting the New York Giants. Giants look good on defense right now, and I tell you, Daniel Jones, man, y'all wrote that man off, but he didn't write back. Daniel Jones and the Giants, they look pretty good. The Bengals got to win this game, man. I always get to this point with the Bengals. They've been struggling lately. I'm like, yeah, they got to win. Joe Burrow's too good, and Joe Burrow's playing great, man. He had one bad game the first game of the season against the Patriots. This dude has 1,370 this year, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jamar Chase is balling, almost 500 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. They're a 3.5-point favorite. Just take the Bengals on the road because they got to get it turned around, and this has to be the day that they start to turn. Monday Night Football, as a fan of this team right here, the Miami Dolphins, I wish this game right here could be a double loss. Don't like the Bills. Don't like the Jets. Pretty obvious. Bills 3-2, still lead the division. Jets 2-3, tied with the Dolphins for second place. Aaron Rodgers got an interim coach. Teams get a boost when they get an interim coach in. This would be 3 losses in a row for Buffalo, and that's hard for me to see. Wow. I think they had a losing streak similar to that last year. They had a struggle for a minute last year, so it happens. Aaron Rodgers, you need to have a big game on Monday night. Teams tend to get a boost when they get an interim coach. I say Josh Allen plays a lot better today, but, I'm going to take the Jets in this game, 2.5 points straight up and on the spread. And the bye weeks this week for the Chiefs, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Vikings. Those 4 teams will indeed be off this week, so you won't see those teams play. So hope y'all enjoyed this review and preview from the past week and the present week coming up. So plenty of football coming up. We'll look forward tonight to the Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. All right, y'all. And remember, as always, peace and football. See y'all later.